Hello, and welcome to a CoSpaces tutorial video. In this video, I will be showing you how to import 360 images into your CoSpaces project, add 3D models to those 360 images, and also recreate that 360 image in a rendered environment. To start off this lesson, let's explore an example of what you will be making. So here I have a 360 image that I imported, has this blue house in it, and you can notice that I also imported some 3D models from CoSpaces. So here I have a dinosaur that I brought in to make it look like he's drinking from the water. Here I have this character, and here I have this door. Now what's cool is when I click on this door, it takes me to a 3D environment version in CoSpaces that I created. So if I look around here, there's the lake I made, there's the dinosaur I brought back in. If I turn around, there's the blue house, here's my character. And what's great about this 3D environment is I can actually move around, unlike the 360 image. I could also add other details to this environment. So maybe there's some shapes or houses that weren't in the 360 image that I wanted to include here. I pretty much can include whatever I want. If I click on this door, it takes me back to the real 360 image version. So that's what you'll be making today, is a 360 image, and then you'll recreate that image using CoSpaces. I'm going to exit out of this CoSpaces experience and show you how I made it. So log into CoSpaces and create a new CoSpace. And for your new CoSpace, you're going to select 360 image. Usually you choose environment. Today we're going to choose 360 image and click empty scene. Now this is what you will see to start. We have this space scene because there's no image imported. And we need to find a 360 image to bring in to this CoSpace. Well, the best place to do that is to go to the VR media library created by Vil. You'll have access to this in a link in the instructions. Once you're in the VR media library, go ahead and select 360 photos. You can scroll through these photos and select whichever one you want. Me personally, I'm going to choose the blue house. There's a problem displaying this image. You should be able to see these. When you find an image you want, you can click on download and it will download this 360 image for you. Now, when I'm back in CoSpaces, I can go to Environment, Edit, and you should see the image that you downloaded. There's Blue House. That's the one I wanted. Again, you should pick one that you want to work on. I'm just using the Blue House as an example. It'll take a few minutes to import your 360 image, and that's perfectly fine. It's a large file. And once your 360 image is imported, you can look around, make sure it has everything you want in it. And what's really cool about these is on top of this 360 image, I can actually bring in characters. I'm going to resize this one. And you can make it look like your characters are standing in this scene. So for this character, maybe I want him to be rotated a little bit. And then you can actually animate your characters. So maybe I will have this character dance. And similarly, you can add speech. So maybe I want him to say, "Welcome to my 360 image." We can also import other things. I'm going to bring in a door because that's what we were using to transport from the 360 image to the virtual world. So there's my door. I'll rotate it. And again, you can get it positioned however you want. Maybe I want to change the color of my door. And then I'll add some text over top of my door that will say, right-click, text, click on door to go to 3D rendering. And you can move this around wherever you want it. But that's how you import 3D models over top of your 360 photo. To recap what we covered, we imported our 360 photo, and then we added some 3D models to our 360 photo. What we want to do now is create a new scene. We're going to try to replicate this 360 photo, but using only CoSpaces features. So I'm going to click on the Scenes button, select New Scene, and this time I'm going to create a 3D environment, and I'll choose Empty Scene. We'll start from scratch here, and I can minimize this. So here's our empty scene. The first thing you're going to want to do for your scene is to add an environment. Click on Edit, and find an environment that's close to what you're going for. So for my lake scene, There was a lot of grass. It kind of looks like this pasture scene. That's a good starting point for me. It doesn't have to be perfect. You can also change the weather. It was a cloudy day in my 360 photo, so I'll choose a cloudy day here. And then another thing I remember from that 360 image, and you can always go back and look, is that there was a lake here off to the right. And I can actually create my own lake. The way I'm going to do that, I'm going to zoom out a little bit so you guys can see a bit better, is I'll go to library. I'm going to select this flat square. I'm going to make it much bigger. So this is going to be the base of my lake. I'll put it over here. And remember, this is a lake, so the square probably shouldn't be yellow. That wouldn't make a lot of sense. So I'll right click on it. I'll change the material to this blue. And you can actually right click on that square and duplicate it. Now I have another one. So I'll make the lake a little bit longer. And I'll duplicate this one more time to finish it off. Great, so there's my lake scene. Now, if I think about what else was in that 360 image, there's a big blue house off to the left side, so I'm going to go ahead and look for a blue house if I can find one. I think there should be one hiding in here. Perfect. I'll bring that in, and again, I'm going to make this much bigger. I'm going to rotate it, and then maybe I'll move it back a little bit to give us some space. And then I had that character. I'll go ahead and click on the Characters tab, and I can bring in our character. He's standing there. Then I'll bring in another door. And you can bring in any object you want. I like to use the door, then when you click on the door, it takes you to the other world. Now, this is just an example. You should add much more detail to your 3D model. This is not very close to my 360 image. I just want to show you the concepts here. So let's see what this looks like. If I click on play, here I am in this world. And remember, when I click on this door, I want to be able to go to the 360 photo, but it doesn't work. Let's go look at the 360 photo scene and see what's happening there. So here's my 360 photo scene. As I look around, when I click on this door, again, it doesn't take me to the other scene. This is a new skill you're going to learn. We're going to actually code the door. In order to code the door, you're going to right-click on the door. This icon that says code, you'll click on that. You will check this switch that says using code blocks. That means I'll be able to code that door or program it to do whatever I want. Then when I click on this code icon here, I can select code blocks, and this lets me program what happens when I click on the door. So I can go down to events, and here I see a function that says when the door is clicked. Well, what do I want to happen when the door is clicked? I want to be taken to that 360 photo. So I can go to control and I can scroll through these options and I go to scene here. I'll drag that in. And I actually want to go to scene 1 when the door is clicked. So when my viewer presses play, that kind of activates the code. Then when the door is clicked, it will take my viewer to scene 1. So that's the code for my 3D rendering scene. Let's add some similar code to my 360 photo, and then we're just about done. So here I am in my 360 photo. Again, I want to code this door. You could right click on anything and activate it for coding. It doesn't have to be a door. Using code blocks, great. And then I'm going to click on the code icon, go to code blocks. And again, here I can code anything. Maybe when I click on the character, he starts to dance or he starts to move. You can code anything you want as long as it's enabled. Here's my event when the door is clicked. What do I want to happen when the door is clicked? I want to go to a scene 2. Perfect. Let's test this out and see how it worked. So here I am. I'm in my 360 photo. I click on the door. Perfect. It takes me to my rendering. And now that I'm in my rendering, if I click on the door, it should take me back to my 360 photo. For your section of this lesson, I want you to find your own 360 photo that you think is really cool. I want you to bring it into CoSpaces and add some 3D models to it. Make it look really interesting, like I added a dinosaur in my version. I want you to add a door or some kind of object you can click on. And then I want you to recreate that 360 image using CoSpaces. So create a rendering or a 3D model of that image. When you link the two together, it's a really cool experience because you can see the 360 photo and the 3D model all within one CoSpaces project. Good luck on your own project. Be really creative. Have fun with it. Hopefully you got a lot of knowledge out of this video. Keep on learning, and happy CoSpace.
The path item available in CoSpaces EDU lets you easily make 3D objects move in your scene. This is a great way to add motion to your space without difficult manual coding. To find the path item, go to the Special Objects in the CoSpaces EDU library. Drag and drop it into your scene and customize it however you like. The path you define is what your objects will follow to move in your scene. To define your path further, right-click on the path and select Edit Path or hold down Alt on your keyboard and drag and drop a point to create a new point. Add and adjust points to customize your path. Click Path to define whether you want the path to appear when you play your scene. Here you can also adjust the width of your path and its shape. Click Material to change its color and opacity. You can then use the Move Item on Path coblocks to move your item along the path. Select your path from the drop-down menu and set a duration for your object to travel all the way around the path. You can also add code to make your object follow the path multiple times. Click Play to see your object move in your scene. This can be used to make butterflies fly around the merge cube, for example.